Hello and welcome to week 4 of ONTV's Fantasy Football League. I'm Joe Johnson, commish and owner of the Hollywood Blockbusters, and I am joined this week by Ian Witherspoon, owner of Team Witherspoon, who, not so coincidentally, we went head-to-head this past weekend. And congratulations, you are the only undefeated team in the league right now. How does it feel?
I can't change Team Witherspoon.
No?
I thought about that after week 2.
Team name?
You guys gave me some heck for it, you know.
Yep.
Said you need a new team name. Said I'm 2-0. I won't change it till I lose. So.
Yeah, so if it's you got a good thing going, you keep it the same. One of the teams in our league, things were going so badly, they did make some changes, and we're going to get to them in a little bit. Let's start out with a recap of our game. We're going to go into the quick box score here over on ESPN.com. So you defeated me 101-73. I headed in to the Monday night game with Eli Manning, Odell Beckham, Sterling Shepard. I was down about 50 points heading into the Monday night game.
58-101, I believe, was the score.
Yeah. And it was unlikely that I was going to pass you, but it was possible.
Oh,
I knew they were
certainly
playing
possible.
a tough Vikings defense.
Right.
But I thought, okay, you know, there's some real talent on the field. The Giants looked god-awful last night. They looked in disarray. Eli looked shell-shocked. Something is wrong with Odell Beckham. Something's not right with Odell Beckham. Last week he had the run-in with the kicking net. This week he was really emotional, got an unsportsmanlike conduct.
Yeah.
They said if he got a second one, he was going to get thrown out of the game. Something's not right over in New York there.
He's like Titus Young with talent.
Yeah. So I'm hoping they turn things around. We'll talk about next week's predictions in a little bit. But if we look at our game here, each week we go over our studs and duds. Your stud, a Mr. Julio Jones.
Yeah, he did all right.
Who had one of the best wide receiver performances in NFL history and fantasy history. 36 points, 12 receptions, and 300 yards receiving and a touchdown. You got to be kidding me.
And we played you that week.
Yeah.
And we talked off air about your luck this year. And wouldn't it, just so happen to be you get what's his name, Julio Jones, on a record-setting day. When I didn't want the man, he was on my bench the first week, I want to say.
And I gave you flack for it. So, of course, you start him against me, and he has a monster game. And then just to make things worse is on my bench is Julio Jones, quarterback. Up until last week, he was a free agent. Matt Ryan, sitting on my bench.
Oh, he only had 47 points.
503 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. I would have beat you easily.
Would you have
I
beaten
think
me?
so. 47 points.
So you're adding 37 to your
add 37 to my score, so that's what, 110. I would have beat you by about 9 points.
All right.
So,
Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah, so Matt Ryan on my bench. I'm not going to start him next week. We'll talk more about that in a second. So your stud, Julio Jones. Your dud, we got to go with Brandon Cooks, New Orleans wide receiver. He's been on fire the first 3 weeks of the season, but here in week 4, he only scored 3 points. Against a soft San Diego defense, which is kind of surprising.
Yeah, they put up 35 points, so you would think Brandon Cooks would be a part of that action, but not so.
Yeah, they must have double-teamed him, and Rivers went elsewhere with the ball.
Breezy.
What's that? No.
Breeze.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, they were playing against Rivers. Breeze went elsewhere with the ball. On your bench, you got John Brown, Arizona wide receiver, 14 points. Wouldn't have made much of a difference, but I don't know. Arizona's been struggling a little bit lately, so I understand your logic with putting John Brown on the bench until Palmer turns things around.
That's a weird 1-3 team.
Yeah, it is. They're all over the place like a roller coaster.
They're still better than the 1-3 Lions, though.
Exactly. That's a given. With the Hollywood Blockbusters, my stud of the game is the Rams defense, who I actually picked up and started last week when I benched the Chiefs defense. The results were a little better this week. 21 points for my Rams defense.
Can't ask for anything more than that.
I knew that they were going to give Palmer a hard time, which they did, and Palmer struggled in that game, and Rams came away with a win. So how about those LA Rams?
Your team's looking good. Your secondary team.
Yeah.
The Rams.
And I also want to mention someone I'm just really pleasantly surprised with is San Diego running back Melvin Gordon. 16 points, and even more important than that, even though he's not getting a ton of yards, I believe he may be leading the league in touchdowns with 6 touchdowns through 4 weeks of the NFL season. So he's getting into the end zone, which in fantasy football, that's probably the most important thing.
Oh, yeah.
We already went over my bench. I'm not going to drudge that up again. So let's go back to the scoreboard, and let's jump to the King Koloje Ant team versus the Thrashers.
What a name that is.
I know. I wish he'd change his team name.
Speaking of Koloje, I saw him this weekend.
Oh, yeah?
In an alley in Detroit.
In an alley? Kind of like one of those scary clowns?
That would be one scary clown.
King Koloje Ant came away with the victory, putting up 81 points against the Thrashers' 68. Heading into the weekend, I noticed that the Thrashers had 3 vacant roster spots that he ended up filling at the last second.
Oh, good.
One of the roster spots he filled, he went to the waiver wire, picked up Matt Jones, Washington running back, and that turned out to be his leading scorer.
That's funny.
19 points, and what did he have? He had 117 yards rushing and a touchdown. So
maybe Valhalla should consult the waiver wire a little more.
Yeah, actually, you know who's on the waiver wire? I think we'll get to him in a little bit. Is Christian Michael from Seattle was on the waiver wire.
You're giving away our secrets on public television here.
John Atwater picked up Christian Michael and started him, and I'm like, why is he on the waiver wire? I should have went after him, but
didn't help John. I saw.
No, we'll get to him in a second. So Valhalla, the Thrasher, his dud of the game. You could go with tight end Jack Doyle, but I'm going to go with Alshon Jeffrey of the Chicago Bears. I mean, they go up against a soft Detroit defense, one of the worst fantasy defenses in the league, and Jeffrey only puts up 4 points. I believe he had a knee injury, even though he played the entire game. So he might be a little gimpy, but you expect more than 4 points from Jeffrey when facing a Detroit defense.
Especially when you got Dan Marino Hoyer thrown to you.
Yeah.
I mean, what a stud he is.
And they made Detroit look bad.
Uh-huh.
Not much to discuss on the bench there, so let's go over to King Koloje Ant's score. I'm getting good at saying that. He's actually gotten big points the last couple of weeks from Washington quarterback Kirk Cousins. 24 points from Cousins. He had 183 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. Not a bad performance from Cousins over there after some quarterback controversy and some bickering in the locker room. Cousins is starting to produce.
Yeah, I don't know if I get that, because hasn't he produced all year for the most part?
It seems like it. I don't know where the criticism is.
I haven't watched the games, but I'm seeing the stats, and it's like 300 plus yards.
Now, granted, Cleveland doesn't have a great defense, but you expect your quarterback to do well against poor defenses, and that's exactly what Kirk Cousins did. So 24 points from Cousins, that would be his stud of the game. His dud of the game, he got 0 from tight end, Jacksonville tight end Julius Thomas. I don't know if Julius was knocked out of that game or what, but he's listed as questionable right now. So 0 there.
I think he was active just prior to the game, I thought.
Okay. And then Stephon Diggs, who came out of the gates on fire, but he's actually had 2 back-to-back 4-point games on a Minnesota squad that's playing really well. What's going on with Diggs?
No idea. I watched last night. What's his name stepped up a little bit? Patterson. They drove the field, and then Asiata pumped it in.
Yeah.
So I think Asiata's a pretty good backup to Adrian Peterson.
He is. I remember last time when Peterson missed most of the season, I had Asiata on my fantasy team, and he produced points for me. So
yeah, he's a good back. Looks good against the Lions quite often.
Yeah, exactly. On Koloje Ant's bench, Andrew Luck produced 22 points. He was actually outscored by Cousins. LaShawn McCoy, Buffalo running back, 16 points on the bench, and C.J. Anderson on the bench. Look at the depth on Ant's running back roster. Gurley, Bell, Blunt, McCoy, and Anderson.
Yeah.
I guess that's the benefit of having an 8-team league, man. He's got some depth.
And I'm wondering why still C.J. Anderson on the bench.
I don't get that either, but
I guess of that group, I'd bench Gurley. Gurley's the one guy that hasn't really been getting it going.
And he needs to start producing, or he's going to start riding the pine. I told Ant he needs to start thinking about trades. Even though he's 3-1, why not take advantage of that depth and start making some trades and shore up your team where it might have some.
Yeah, he only
needs.
scored 81 points, so it's not like,
Yeah,
you know, there's
exactly.
room for some
A
improvement.
little bit of luck there.
Garrett.
Let's go to Team Irish Brogues versus the previous undefeated team, Joe Velez. He gets his first loss of the season, team undeflated. Irish Brogues studded the game. Let's see here. He got 24 points from Dallas quarterback Dak Prescott, who's having a nice season. DeMarco Murray, Tennessee running back, 23 points. He got some nice production, 115 points total scored by his team. His dud of the game, couple of 4-point performances there. Amari Cooper with Oakland. Jason Witten, Dallas tight end, 4 points. And 1 point from his kicker. But he got some nice production for the most part.
Yeah.
On his bench, Russell Wilson outscored Dak Prescott 33 points.
Yeah, he had a big game.
Even though Wilson's been hurt and gimpy, he's still playing well. Over on the other side of the ball, boy, not a lot of studs on team undeflated this week, but 13 points from Carlos Hyde, 15 points from Greg Olson, his tight end. Everything else is single digits. Oh, here's what we need to talk about. DeAndre Hopkins, 0 points. He had 1 catch for about 4 yards. Fuller stole the spotlight in that game and outproduced Hopkins. What's your take on that?
Fuller?
Fuller, yeah, the wide receiver for he had a kick return and he outperformed Hopkins for the Houston squad.
Forgive me here. Corey Fuller's still on the Lions, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay,
This is
so
a
not
different
we
Fuller.
didn't release him and he went.
No, I think this
haywire
Fuller is a
somewhere.
rookie
Okay.
this year.
Gotcha,
and
gotcha.
Maybe defenses are starting to double team Hopkins and that's freeing up other players. But wow, a big old goose egg from Hopkins, and
Yeah, that's not something you expect.
that's not his first down game. Last week he only had 5 points. So
Yeah.
it looks like defenses are focusing on Hopkins and forcing the Texans to win other ways.
He was a very high draft pick, so
He was. Yeah.
he's got to produce.
On his bench, Isaiah Crowell, who I think was a free agent until recently, Joe picked him up and he scored 20 points on the bench. Crowell is having an outstanding season on that Cleveland squad, one of the few bright spots. He's running like a young man and scoring touchdowns. He's definitely worth arguing that he should be a starter.
He's been at least, I would say, a draftable piece the past few years.
Yeah.
He's picked it up for a team that has not done anything.
Yeah, I have Duke Johnson on all my fantasy teams, and he catches passes, but he's not getting the carries and the yardage that Crowell is getting. All right, so let's go to our final game on the scoreboard before we go to break, and that is Smoke on the Atwater versus the newly christened the Reawakening, and they did indeed have a reawakening. Let's start off with the Atwater team. Now
He cannot catch a break.
yeah, we've talked about this last week because this happened to me last week. Atwater, his 122 points would have beaten every single team in our league except the guy he played. 122 points will win you games in this league, and he came away with a loss. Look at all the double-digit scoring on his roster.
Oh, yeah.
Cam Newton, 19. Ezekiel Elliott, 20, 14, 11, 14, 19, 14. How do you lose? You're not supposed to lose when you put up those kind of points.
No.
Unfortunately, his kicker got -3 points. That killed him. And Phillip Rivers outscored Cam Newton on the bench. He scored 25 points. That would have been a difference maker considering he only won by 4 points. But Cam Newton, Phillip Rivers, it's kind of tough. I know Newton's been banged up a little bit.
Yeah.
Who knows? I probably would have thought about benching Newton and starting Rivers, but
Especially
second
Rivers
guess.
was at home against the Saints.
Right.
And the Saints defense is
Yeah, it
no
was
bueno.
pretty soft. So it's those kind of decisions that make or break you. Over on the other side of the ball, the newly renamed Reawakening team.
These names, I'll tell you what.
Boy, oh boy, 126 points, 33 points from Derek Carr, who's having a monster season over there in Oakland.
At one at Baltimore.
Yep. And A.J. Green, Cincinnati wide receiver, 23 points. And who was his dud? Travis Benjamin. I don't know what's going on with Travis Benjamin over in San Diego. I don't think he's dealing with any injuries. But look at these numbers. Three of the 4 weeks of the NFL season, he's put up 3 points, 5 points, and 2 points. He only had that one good stat line in week 2, 150 yards, 2 touchdowns for 23 points. I thought this was going to be like a breakout year for Travis Benjamin, but he's so hit and miss.
Yeah, I guess I haven't seen how Antonio Gates has been doing. He must still be reliable.
I guess. Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard his name mentioned much lately, but yeah, before we go to break, I wanted to touch on that San Diego game. I was watching Red Zone on Sunday. Late in the fourth quarter, San Diego's up by 2 touchdowns. Gordon fumbles the ball. New Orleans scores. And then who was it Benjamin or it might have been Benjamin? Someone else fumbled. The wide receiver fumbled, gives New Orleans the ball. They score. They go up by 1. They win the game.
Right.
All San Diego had to do was kill the clock. Just keep the ball, kill the clock, try to march downfield. They would have won that game. They gave up 2 touchdowns in the last few minutes of the fourth quarter to lose that game. That's San Diego for you.
And that was Drew Brees' first trip back to San Diego.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Since he come to New Orleans 10-ish, 9-ish, 8 years ago.
Yeah.
So good for Drew.
Good for Drew. I feel bad for the Chargers. They're a good team, but they always seem to, like the Lions, they snatch defeat out of the mouth in victory. So that recaps week 4. We're going to take a little break here. When we come back, we're going to look ahead to week 5 in the NFL. See you in a minute.
Proper disposal of unused or unwanted prescription drugs is a key weapon in the fight against misuse.
In Oakland County, Operation Medicine Cabinet provides 32 law enforcement hosted prescription drop-off sites. To find a location near you, go to www.oakgov.com/sheriff.
In Oakland County, prescription drug misuse is real. It's growing and it's dangerous. Visit doyourpart.info to learn more.
And welcome back to ONTV's Fantasy Football League. I'm Joe Johnson, joined by Ian Witherspoon. And now we're going to look ahead to week 5 in fantasy and in the NFL. I always start off by looking at the bottom 6 or so fantasy defenses. Ranking dead last against all opponents are the Atlanta Falcons. After them, we have the Oakland Raiders, followed by a usual occupant of this list, the Detroit Lions. Then the New Orleans Saints and the Green Bay Packers. Cleveland is ranked at number 27.
Quick question for you on this list. You got the Giants traveling to Green Bay Sunday night.
Sunday night.
So you got back-to-back primetime games against NFC North opponents in their barn. Seeing Green Bay on this list, do you think that will help get the Giants right? Where are you at? Because you got a big chunk of your team is the Giants.
Yeah.
So how do you look at this game?
Here's the deal.
What do you do with those players?
I'm encouraged, even though they're traveling to Lambeau Field, I'm encouraged that the Giants are going to turn things around next Sunday night. Part of the reason is Green Bay ranks 28th overall against all opponents. Versus quarterbacks, Green Bay is 4th, or I should say ranked 29th against quarterbacks. So Eli Manning should have some numbers. And they're also ranked 2nd from last, number 31st against wide receivers. So that combination tells me that if the Giants got to put some points up this week.
Is Odell that big of a distraction? I think the book is out on him where you got to get in his head. You can't beat him physically.
Yeah. And that's what it sounds like defenders are doing. It sounds like they're trash talking them. They're giving them a cheap shot out of bounds, which seems to rattle them. So that's how they're going after him. But what Eli has proved early in the season is even if Odell is taken out of that game, he still has Victor Cruz, who's looking good.
He does.
They have rookie Sterling Shepard. So if they're going to go after Odell and they're going to intimidate Odell, get the ball to the other guys. So
you would think. But Odell seems bigger than the team almost.
Yeah.
Where he's forcing the attention on him.
He's a superstar, and I'm hoping that someone's going to be able to talk to the guy and say, calm down. Don't let these guys get to you. And we'll have to wait and see if it happens. So let's go back up to the bottom-ranked teams versus quarterbacks. Ranking dead last, we have the Atlanta Falcons. They are playing the Denver Broncos this weekend. Now, Simeon, who's been playing really well, is hurt. and they haven't announced who's going to be the starting quarterback yet. But his backup is Paxton Lynch. Do you start a Denver Broncos quarterback against dead last Atlanta Falcons, regardless of who it is?
Is it in Atlanta? I think it's in Atlanta, right?
I'm not sure. Let's see. Atlanta. See him?
It is in Denver. Okay.
It's in Denver.
Yeah.
There it is, at Denver. Yep.
That's a tough one because I don't trust rookies.
All right.
Not to
Yeah.
put up huge numbers.
Yeah.
So
and Atlanta's been playing so well.
either one of these guys could tear it up.
Yeah.
Who knows?
If you have an
But,
alternative, you might want to go
right,
with an alternative.
Right.
But.
That'd be my.
Now, here's one I'm sure you're going to have a say in. Ranked 31st against quarterbacks, the Detroit Lions. Philadelphia is coming off a bye. Carson Wentz, who's been just a phenom. He's been incredible. Big day for Carson Wentz.
Yes.
In Detroit at the Ford Field.
Indoors, the team sucks. The fans they're getting off.
Yeah.
You know,
They're turning.
there is not as much passion for the Lions this year.
No.
Like, I listen to sports talk a lot. People they're not mad right now.
Yeah.
Normally people would be calling in, spewing from the
Yeah.
mouth, venom,
See that
saliva.
I lost my passion about a season ago, and I'm just numb. I'm just numb when it comes to the
Pretty
Lions.
much.
Yeah.
I think it was the Dallas game and then the 1-7 start. It was just like, okay,
Yeah.
what are we doing here?
Yeah. And, I was at the home game, the home opener against Tennessee, and we were all fired up. We were so passionate. And the way they lost that game, I just felt the air just get sucked out of that stadium.
Yeah.
And I don't think fans have recovered from that loss. That was a brutal, horrible loss.
And I really think in this week, both quarterbacks, I think Stafford will have a big game. But
Big
I think
game?
Carson Wentz would be a real good bet to start.
I think so. The biggest weakness, I think, on that Detroit squad is the defense. The defense has just been giving up big play after big play. The opposing teams have been facing 3rd and long, and you think, okay, we're going to get a stop here, and they give up the first down. And this is something that they're notorious for doing.
Right.
So I'm predicting Philadelphia is going to come away with a win, and Carson Wentz should have a pretty big game against that.
And
Lions
Sproles.
team.
I think Sproles will have a big game too.
Oh, yeah, he's had a resurgence too. Ranked 30th against quarterbacks, the Oakland Raiders. They're playing Phillip Rivers, and the San Diego Chargers. Expect a big game from Rivers.
From both.
Both sides
Derek
of the
Carr
ball,
as well.
yeah.
They're at home. Oakland is.
Yeah,
so.
that should be a shootout. That should be a high-scoring game. We already talked about Green Bay versus Eli Manning. I'm expecting him to come back. Let's look at the bottom-ranked teams versus running backs. New Orleans is dead last. They're on a bye this week. So ranked 31st is San Diego. Raiders running backs include Latavius Murray. Now, last week he had 1 point against Baltimore. Does he bounce back against the Chargers?
I say no because he's had decreased playing time.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's it's obviously a production issue. If he was producing, they'd play him.
Yeah.
But he's not going to, I don't think he's going to get a chance to produce because they're just cutting his time.
Here's an interesting development I just read about. Ranked number 30 against running backs are the Washington Redskins. They are playing the Ravens. I just learned that Forsett was cut from the team. He started off this season their starting running back. He was cut. Terrence West, former Cleveland Brown,
I believe so, yes.
he's been playing well, and I heard that rookie Kenneth Dixon, who hasn't played this season, he's recovering from an injury, he may get some playing time this weekend. So do you start Terrence West? And I have Kenneth Dixon stashed away on my bench. I don't know if I'm ready to start him yet. I want to see what he does on the field, but expecting big things from Ravens running back?
I am definitely expecting big things from Ravens running backs. They lost last week. I don't know if it's the last play of the game, but Oakland came down and won very late. They're at home again. They lost at home last week. I think it's going to be a big day for Ravens football, and that includes a lot of running.
I agree.
Yeah.
And the Bears, who embarrassed the Lions, they are facing the Colts, who are ranked 29th against running backs. The Bears running back Jordan Howard last week against Detroit had 111 rushing yards, no TDs, but he got a lot of yardage against the Lions. Do you expect more of the same against the Colts?
Yes, and I would say it would be a shootout like the Lions-Colts game was, but I don't think Brian Hoyer's really that good.
Yeah.
So I don't know, mid-20s for this one. But yeah, I think it's gonna be good ground and air day.
Yeah,
overall.
and they're gonna hand off a lot in that game. And let's go to the bottom ranked teams versus wide receivers. We touched on this a little bit. Ranked dead last against wide receivers are the Oakland Raiders. They are facing San Diego. Travis Benjamin not performing all that well, 3 or 4 weeks. I looked up his stat. Travis Inman, am I pronouncing that right? Travis Inman against New Orleans had 120 yards receiving and a touchdown. Do you pick up Travis Inman on the waiver wire and start him over Benjamin? I haven't heard much of this Inman guy, and I was shocked to see the stat that he's outperforming Travis Benjamin.
I guess, and that's the other thing with San Diego. Keenan Allen's out. Benjamin's not performing.
Woodhead's
Antonio Gates is old. Woodhead's out.
Yep.
This Inman man might be the way to go.
Might be a
Put him
waiver
in,
wire
man.
pickup. See if Inman's still on your waiver wire. We touched on this, ranked 31st against wide receivers are the Packers against the Giants. We already kind of covered that a little bit. I'm starting all my Giants against the Packers and hoping it pays off. If they don't perform, I need to start making major roster changes.
You need
They
to
have to
reconsider
play
things.
well against the Packers.
Now, is that your trio with the other leagues you're in?
Well, the other leagues I'm in are auction leagues, and so I was able to bid on and get Odell Beckham and Sterling Shepard in one league. I got outbid in another league, but I did pick up Victor Cruz, who is actually playing pretty well. So I'm comfortable starting any of those 3 guys. And in our league, I've actually started Beckham and Sterling Shepard in the same roster, and I don't regret that. Like, yeah, I want to see Odell turn it around. I mean, let me get your comment on this. Odell Beckham has not scored a touchdown this season. We're 4 weeks into it. What's going on?
That's a travesty.
Yeah.
With that man's talent,
No touchdown.
that's insane.
Man.
That's like Golden Tate. Golden Tate, we've seen what a great receiver he can be. Good in open space, has a knack for getting in the end zone. I don't even know if he has 100 yards this year
Yeah.
in 4 games.
Yep.
That's pretty pathetic.
Sad. There's a play yesterday that I saw where Odell Beckham was told to streak down the sideline, and Eli just hauled back and threw it, and Odell cut in while the defender played wide receiver and picked off Eli Manning. So Beckham and Eli are not on the same page, which is shocking because they've been playing so well together the past couple seasons, and they're not on the same page.
I don't know if Odell knows what page he's on,
Yeah.
because I'm sure Eli's on his page. Where's Odell? Because he is not focusing on football.
Yep. One final thing, we're just about out of time. The Bills are going up against the LA Rams, ranked 29th against wide receivers. Sammy Watkins, I think he's done for the season. Doesn't look optimistic he's going to come back. Playing at wide receivers, Robert Woods, who had 7 catches for 89 yards against the Patriots. Marquise Goodwin had a big game in week 2. Is it worth picking up Buffalo Bills wide receivers who are starting in place of a done, disappointing Sammy Watkins?
Not against the Rams, not in L.A. East Coast team traveling west. Rams defense has shut
I
opponents
really
down.
like the Rams defense. I have them in all my leagues. So, all right, we're just about out of time. Ian, always fun talking football
Absolutely.
with you. Good luck next week, and
too.
we'll be back a week from today to recap Week 5, look ahead to Week 6, and stay tuned. Dragons football is right after this program, and we will see you next Tuesday. Good luck this weekend in fantasy football.